Welcome to A Celtic State of Mind. I'm Paul John Dykes, and today I will be joined by Lawrence Conley. He's just getting signed in. And we'll be talking about all things Celtic. Yes, it is International Week. However, we still have plenty to discuss in the world of Celtic. We've got Ross County coming up this weekend and loads of new signings in the door. How many of them are going to make their debuts? That will be one of the points of discussion. We'll also be looking at the 6 key changes that have already been made at Celtic that could bring back the title to Celtic Park. We'll have a wee chat about Jackie McNamara, who launches his new book over the last few days. A Celtic State of Mind will be part of a press conference at Celtic later on this afternoon, where we will be talking to our new Portuguese left winger, Jota. So if there's anything that you want to ask him, give us a shout and I will pose him the question this afternoon. The Europa League squad has been revealed, so we'll have a wee chat about a couple of additions and a few omissions from that squad, and loads more to talk about. So we're waiting on Lawrence coming in. In the meantime, I'm going to talk to you guys. Caplo Mark, a successful January transfer window, along with the manager's own additions to the backroom team, could well be enough. Well, I will say, Caplo Mark, that both of these points are raised in the 6 key changes that I believe will bring the title back to Celtic Park. I've also got to say, obviously, back in the early days of the ACSOM Bulletin, we had one host, which was myself, and we gradually built up a team of contributors. I can see a few questions coming in as to the whereabouts, not only of Lawrence, who's obviously having a few issues with his tech, but with a few of the others. But all I will say at this moment in time is that you'll be seeing a lot more of myself, as I will be hosting most of the shows going forward. At this moment in time, Sean F., you're watching on YouTube, and you agree with Caplo Mark that these 2 changes will be pivotal in Celtic winning the league. Now, we've also got a point coming in from David Bradley. I feel if we are going to win the league, we need 20 plus goals out of someone in midfield. We need Turnbull to hit the goals. Well, I reckon that it wouldn't be... I mean, it'd be incredible for any midfielder to score 20 goals, any one player from the midfield area to be so prolific. But if anyone's going to do it, it would be Turnbull, when you look at his shooting prowess, or, from outside the box, particularly. Jim Datim, you're also in on the YouTube. We need to win 2 and draw 1 of the remaining Glasgow derbies. How about winning the 3 of them? How about that, Let's take a wee walk back in time, where that would have been something that would have been expected, even to a degree, from Celtic to win these derby games. It's unfortunate that we've fallen back so far behind where we're hoping to stay in touching distance of the league leaders by Christmas. Now, let's have a wee look here as well. Sean F., and he says, if we can reach till January top of the league, or in touching distance, as I've just said, and remain in Europe as well with our current midfield options, then we have a very good chance of regaining the title. Again, you look back on the 9 years of dominance that we enjoyed in Scottish football, and we were in a situation where just being in touching distance of the league title was unthought of. It was unthinkable. But that's where we are now. And again, I will reiterate that there has been a few changes to the ACSOM lineup, and they will become more and more evident as the days and weeks go on. I would also like to point out that last night I was alerted to a podcast by the good fellas at the Homeboys, where they dug deep into the ongoing situation that many of us are encountering in relation to, targeted, a targeted campaign of identifying, incriminating past tweets and comments, etc. We can't, it's not that we won't, we can't say much more on that. But what I will say is that in the meantime, I will be your main host, and hopefully that doesn't result in you switching off. Lawrence hasn't left me in the lurch. He is probably having Wi-Fi issues, so I thought I would come on and speak to you like we did back in the day, just a year ago, when we set up the ACSOM Bulletin, when we started going live on a daily basis. And what I would like to say also is that no matter what happens, that's not going to change, because there is absolutely no way that any campaign is going to stop us from doing what we love doing, which is speaking about the team we all love, Celtic. And there's loads of you behind us. There's loads of messages of support coming through on the DMs and also on social media. So keep tuning in. We have built something here. We've built a community. We ask you to subscribe onto our YouTube channel. And when you do that, you will notice this collection of concept jerseys I've got behind me. I'm a big Celtic jersey fan, and we've decided that we will be producing our own concept jerseys, not for sale. It's not a cash-in, but these will be given away. And you could probably guess what inspired some of these shirts. So I'm going to run through them whilst we wait on Lawrence coming in to join me. If you subscribe on the YouTube channel, you go into a prize draw. If you're already a subscriber, you're already in the prize draw. Once a month, we'll give away a big prize. And the first 2 months, July and August rather, was platinum discs. The first one was Urban Hymns by The Verve, and the second one was Costello Music by the Fratellis. These weren't remakes. They weren't merch that had been made by a company. These were actual BPI approved platinum discs. So these will be with their new owners very, very soon. This month, every week, we'll give away one of these concept jerseys. What was the idea behind the concept jersey? Well, I have been working with Celtic jerseys now for 6 years, match-worn jerseys, and so I'm a wee bit obsessed with them. I'm looking at some of the jersey designs from the past and recreating them, but in the style of ACSOM. So the one right above my head there is a take on the old Shamrock jersey from the 1950s and the 60s, but it has got an embroidered ACSOM crest on the left breast. The one next to that, which has got the ACSOM badge as well as the ACSOM wordmark, is a wee nod to Love Street 1986, although it is not a V-neck. Moving on to the next jersey, we wore something very similar without the badges against Saint Etienne in the late 60s. And then the final one is a German-inspired jersey that we think would have looked good on Andreas Thom. These are all one-offs, and they will be going out to the lucky or unlucky winners, depending on whether or not you like the designs. That's the intro, a 7.5-minute intro before I bring in my co-host, the one and only Lawrence Conley. Welcome to the show, sir. How are you?
It's well, I am, mate. How are you?
I'm all right. I can do that. I can rap for 7.5 minutes. No problem. We've got loads of content. Yes.
Well, and I've got sore feet, though. I've got sore feet. I was at the
talk
weekend.
To me, T-shirt and give me the rundown on the Johnny Thompson.
So Brendan and Jim and Kenny and all the guys at the Grave Society put together the 90th anniversary John Thompson walk from Celtic Park to Cardenden over 3 days. So yeah, great event. John Fallon, Jim Craig turning up to see us off. Tony Hamilton was there. Tony walked 10 miles himself on behalf of the foundation. Saturday night, Tom Boyd turned up. And then, Sharon Brown, director, was there on the Sunday. Tony Hamilton was there. John Fallon. So, yeah, big turnout from the Celtic family, keeping John's memory alive.
Yeah, absolutely. And you also did the same walk 10 years ago. It was the JT80. You did that back then as well, Lawrence. Compare the two 10 years later, 10 years older, and possibly 10 years less fitter. How was this year compared to 10 years ago, mate?
This year was a lot harder. But, it was kind of 26 miles first day, and then I did... they shortened the distance the second day down to 18, and then a longer distance on the final day of 11. Whereas the final day, kind of 10 years ago, was just like 3 miles, which was shooting in.
And what do you do in between? So is there wee hotels along the way, wee B&Bs? Is that the kind of idea, or do people go home?
No,
all right.
But most people stayed over the hotel in Larbert, dinner, drinks, happy days. And then we were lucky, the guys at the range with from Fairmont Football Club, obviously links with Jock Stein there, to have a Celtic quiz. And we were lucky David Porter came along, gave us a talk on John's life. So, yeah, a few drinks, buffet there. And that was a Saturday night. And then Sunday, the Old House opened early for us in Cardenden. And the Bow Hill Hotel put on a buffet for us after the graveside oration.
So you were in the wilds of Fife, Lawrence. It's something that I need to do on a daily basis. After finishing in the studio, I need to get into my country bumpkin mode and go back to Fife. It's a fantastic thing. And, you know, it's incredible that in 10 years it will be the centenary of John Thompson's passing as well. And I'm sure there will be huge events planned for that. I myself reckon that if anyone deserves a statue at Celtic Park, it's a man who gave his life to the club, John Thompson, who passed away on, due to injuries sustained on the park.
Yeah, definitely. I think so. I think there should be a statue to John there. I think that every Celtic fan's heard the story, and as you say, he paid the ultimate sacrifice, didn't he?
He certainly did, and it's something that we've always been proud of. Coming from Fife, we've also been proud of all the Celtic links in the Fife area, including our recently departed captain, Scott Brown. So, yes, absolutely, I would love to see a statue of John Thompson up at Celtic Park. I think that would be only fitting. Lawrence, there is loads to talk about. We're going to be talking about the upcoming Ross County game. We're going to be talking about the Europa League squad that has been announced. Couple of omissions, couple of additions, and we're also going to be discussing the 6 key changes that I believe could bring the title back to Celtic, and we'll be running through them one by one. Lawrence, we have quite a busy comment section. Keep the comments coming, and the Urban Coolshoe, who does come in from time to time, and his name is mispronounced from time to time by me. Apologies. You're on YouTube. If we can get 25 games out of McCarthy, and the new players provide a small improvement, that will be enough. Now, the subject of James McCarthy has been discussed a few times on the podcast. Lawrence, I have suggested that if there's going to be a dark horse from the transfer window, I reckon it's going to be McCarthy. I reckon he is going to become a pivotal member of the side going forward. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, he's a player that can make a difference in the biggest of games, isn't he? So, in Europe, away to Pretoria, away to Tynecastle, he's the guy that can come on and make a difference, take some of the pressure off of Callum when there's more of a challenge against us in midfield. So, he can play the 6, he can play the 8, he can play the 10. He's very versatile as well. So he's a bit of an all-rounder as far as midfield's concerned. But, yeah, I think so. I think the Urban coach is right. 25 games out, McCarthy, if it's the big games, yeah, I think he'd be a key player for us.
See, the thing is, I'm not being old-fashioned in saying that we need, that bit of dig in the midfield. But what I think is glaringly obvious, Lawrence, is that since the departure of the aforementioned Scott Brown, we have obviously missed the bit of steel in the midfield area. And I think that although there's more to his game, and I said this yesterday, McCarthy gives us a bit of that, we will be talking about some of the midfielders, some of the players rather, who are in the Europa League squad, and a couple of missions. But before we go through that, I do believe that there are key changes that could and should bring the title back to Celtic, some of which have already been made. So we'll run through them. The first one I'm going to bring to the table, Lawrence, is the return of Christopher Jullien. Now, the reason for that is when you look at the capitulation last season, a massive part of that, and I mean, let's be honest, there was a whole myriad of reasons as to why Celtic faltered and fell so dramatically last season. But a massive part of it was this issue at the heart of the Celtic defence. Now, I still think we've got it. We've obviously gone at the transfer market in the most recent window, Lawrence, and brought in a number of centre halves. I say a number because, I mean, we've brought in Starfelt, Urhoghide, Carter Vickers, and also Liam Scales, who can play there. But I do believe that the loss of Jullien, the ongoing loss of Chris Jullien, has been a key part in the fact that we faltered at the back. And I think that when he comes back in, and we will talk about him being named in the Europa League squad, so you would think his return is imminent, Lawrence. I think he will be massive, in particular, also due to the fact that we've lost his defensive partner in Chris Ayer. How big a loss has Jullien been? How big a plus will it be when he comes back in us trying to retain this title, Lawrence?
Yeah, I think it was huge. They collided against the post against Dundee United. Just before that, we're starting to show a bit of form. Listen, it's a very young team we've got. He brings experience to it. Maybe help set the back line and talk them through, whether it's Welsh or maybe even Carter Vickers. It's going to give us a couple of options there. I think Julian, he's probably the best centre-half we've got at the club. If he can come back to his best, because we don't know what it's going to be like after he comes back from injury. But you would think if he gets back to his best, it's Julian and one other, isn't it? You would expect him to be playing if he's fit. Hopefully that will drive the boys on, Or maybe Angel might, mix it up a bit. Maybe we'll say, listen, we'll give somebody a half, or it's a slightly easier team. We'll play a couple of inexperienced boys, but I think Julian's huge for us. He's been over the course for us a number of times. One of many trebles, isn't it?
He would have been involved in 2.
Just 2.
Yeah.
Amateur, mate. It's an amateur.
Back to back trebles, yeah. Just the 2. The big thing as well, though, if you think about it, is, we don't have this towering defender who is also good at set pieces when we're on the attack. And Julien, after 61 appearances for Celtic, has scored 10 goals, Lawrence. 10 goals from defence. I mean, I think that is another element in his game that we've missed. We've seen, I think, 1 goal from Stephen Welsh this season. Him and Starfelt up top don't seem to give us that same threat. So it's another facet to his game that I think that we have certainly been missing that. I mean, Chris Ayer, for the size of the guy, was no threat whatsoever in the opposition's box at corner kicks.
I think Welsh is, but I think that the fact we're not a very tall team, so it's probably easier to mark our threats just now. So bringing in someone like Julian, but I would say he's better than Welsh in there. It gives the opposition more to worry about, doesn't it? They've gone, right, now we need to pick up someone else. So are they going to put the best marker on Julian, and that'll maybe make it a wee bit easier for Welsh. Greek striker coming in. I don't know what he's going to be like in there. Surely we scored a few headers. So it's something. Whether it's defensively or offensively from set pieces, we don't seem to do as much with them as we perhaps could. And maybe that's because we do like to play it on the deck and try and play it around. That's the style that we're going for. But play your odds. You're going to get a number of set pieces, aren't you? If you can score from half of them, you win any league, wouldn't you?
Well, when you look at the amount of shots Celtic have in any game, the stats are incredible, Lawrence. Some of those are going to end up, resulting in corners. And when you look at the possession, and the vast majority of that is when you're on the attack, we do go through game to game a huge amount of corners. And then you're looking at, okay, so who is actually your target man? Because we've now got a corner kick taker. Because for a couple of seasons there, Ryan Christie could take 15 corners in a game and fail to reach a man 15 times. It was that bad. I mean, we used to go on about it last season. We've now got the delivery from both sides. Who's the target man? This is a big question, because we don't seem to have. Giacomakis might be that man, but we don't seem to have the different options. And I'll be interested to see if he brings us that different option up front, Lawrence.
Yeah, I mean, outside of Welsh and Julian, who would you say is going to be good in the air? I mean, Roderick's tall, but I wouldn't say he's good in the air. You're starting to look about and go, I don't really know if Cameron Vickers is going to be a threat, but you wouldn't expect to see the 3 of them on the park at the one time. Kyogo, from what I've seen of him, I don't think he's the target man type. So that is something that we lack. And set pieces, if we can work it, that it's the 2 centre halves that are our main dangers, and have the forward playing for second ball or for scraps, brilliant. But when we only have one in the team so far, it's maybe Welsh. It's a lot easier for them to block him off and mark him, isn't it? They're just going, well, that's really the only guy that's likely to do any danger here.
I think so. And it's something that we are lacking at the moment, Lawrence. And, there was a few players, I think, that were quoted in dispatches when Celtic were interested in X, Y and Z through that transfer window there, who might have fitted that bill, who did have that presence up top, and we've ended up not getting someone who's renowned for that.
Yeah, I think Thomas Henry was one, wasn't he? He was maybe good there. But listen, Giacomakis is maybe good in there, but how often he'll be on the park? Just with the style we play, maybe we do play set pieces in the 2 target men or the 2 centre halves. maybe get, I don't know, maybe McCarthy or McGregor hanging back sweeping, who knows. But I think that's, from what I've seen, the starting 11 outside the Giacomakis, Welsh and Julian.
And that's it. Yeah.
Maybe Cameron Vickers, I've not seen him stuff. Maybe Scales, I don't know. But yeah, there's not a lot of aerial threat, shall we say.
We'll see, yeah.
You know, with the amount of shots we're getting in the football we've been playing, it's kind of, it's surprising that we don't have more, but, you know, if we're playing fast attacking football, getting 30 odd shots, hopefully we're not relying on set pieces, but, you know, it comes in handy to get so many. Definitely, you know, it's something that we need to get better of. And if it is our two centre-halves, it's our two centre-halves.
Yeah, it's a weapon that we can certainly utilise, and I think that's one of the reasons that one of the biggest key changes this season that will bring the title back to Celtic Park is the return of Chris Julian. Let me know what you think in the comments section. AGSC Technology Videos, who is a regular contributor to the show, so welcome back. You're on YouTube. I think the SPFL is a bit stronger this season compared to last, so I think the non-Rangers games will be more important. I'm a great believer in the fact that you know, you don't want to go 7 or 8 games, Lawrence, without a win against Rangers, but it isn't the be all and the end all. I mean, you've got the result, and obviously we failed to beat them there. But there's a momentum shift that worries me more than the specific individual result. And I think we need to get that momentum back in the direction of Celtic Park, because it seems as though they still know how to play us, even with the change in manager. So the game beating got sent off last season. I didn't think this one was too much different. You know, we had a lot of ball in the first half, but the wingers and the forwards never really done anything, you know, apart from Eddie's miss. So that's where we had, you know, most of the ball. Rangers then seem to kind of suss it out a bit, you know, what gets some free kicks in the final third and just throw it into the box. Celtic are not particularly good at defending free kicks at the moment, and it's one of Rangers' strengths, set pieces. And I don't think it was a surprise to anyone that, you know, you could see that goal coming from a set piece and the build up to it. I was talking to Kevin's tape from the penalty spot at half time and said, you know what, I'd take a draw just now, because we've had so much of it. We've got a rookie keeper in, you know, an out of position right back, and we hadn't really tested either of them that much. You know, Kyogo hadn't really done much against Balogun, and even later on when Chris was came out left, he didn't do much. So, yeah, it's the worry that we can have so much of the ball in these games without really creating so many clear-cut chances or you know threatening, especially when we're still weak, as I think we are at set pieces. Hopefully Julian changes that. Maybe it's Julian, Cameron Vickers, I don't know. Maybe Angel fancy 3 sometimes and put Welsh in there. But we need to do something to address what, you know, as a fairly glaring weakness, isn't it? That it is, yeah.
You know, teams get set pieces against us, you know, they're going to score goals. We
want Julian to, you know, fill that kind of gap at the back, but also up front, Lawrence. So, you know, if that's his role. But I'll look at Julian. I do actually look at him as the first pick centre-half. I still look at him as the first pick centre-half, and it will be Julian plus another. The thing is, he had come back from injury when he got injured, so it feels as though he's been away for even longer. He missed, you know, massive part of last season.
And I know he cleared it off the line, but I don't think it made any difference to the result. That goal would be not 2 or 3 up at the time when he slid in to clear it off the line and it hits the post. And it was dying in embers of the game. You're thinking, geez, what I think you're losing for, you know, something that, you know, that goal would have made a difference to the result of the game. It's just, yeah, and as you say, he'd been out for so long. We've not had much luck with the fitness of some of our centres halves, have we?
We haven't. Yeah, no, I think that speaks volumes. That speaks for itself. Durban Kulshi still thinks that Ange has a big decision about the Europa League. Can we play 6 vital league games at full pelt after gruelling Europa League ties? And this is a big thing because obviously Celtic generally over the last period of the last couple of decades have always been playing for 3 domestic trophies and something in Europe, Lawrence. And it's a lot of games, and you've got players like Callum McGregor who plays virtually all of those games. But in terms of trying to progress in the Europa League and also winning this title back, which in many, many ways, Lawrence, and I'm sure you'll agree, is more important. It is a priority because obviously we want Champions League football next season. It is a hard balance. Do you think we've got the depth of squad to be firing on, for 4 different competitions, on all fronts for 4 different competitions?
Listen, you've kind of said it's a delicate balance. Not for me. I think winning the league far outweighs Europe. I don't think there's any balance to be had there. I think that should be it. I think so far, what Ange's Alkmaar, they're a really decent team. I think he's exceeded my expectations in getting us this far. And I think maybe when we're looking at Europe, it's time to rotate the squad and maybe play a slightly weaker team in Europe so as we can have the focus on the league. I don't think we've got the depth of squad that he would like. I think that's obvious for statements that he's made. And I think maybe we'll have to look at some of the games and say, yep, what's more important here, the league or Europe? For me, it's the league. I don't think there's, in my mind anyway, there's no question it's more important to win the league this year and get Champions League than anything we're going to do in Europe.
I always think of that comment by Bill Shankly, who is on that right there, actually. There he is. It's the bread and butter. The league championship is always the bread and butter. Lawrence, now that I'm looking at the background, what's your favourite jersey of the 4 ACSOM concept kits that were given away this month?
I think...
I'll move my big head.
I'm swaying between one of the all white. Is that white with green sleeves or is it all white?
This is all white.
So that's not a concept kit then, because Celtic had an all white kit like that with the
we did.
But the only one like 3 or 4 games.
We've desecrated it by putting ACSOM logos on it. No, but it was modelled on that jersey you're talking about.
Yeah.
Was that?
It was only 3 or 4 games or something. Didn't get many outings.
Yeah. No, I didn't get many outings at all. I think we played Clyde in the cup. We played St. It was actually made and provided by Umbro for that St. Etienne game. That was the reason that was produced, and that was the first time that they wore it at home. Celtic wore that kit at home. But there's some beautiful pictures of the likes of Bertie Auld and wee Jinky wearing the jersey, because they did wear it for a few years afterwards. So you would go for the St. Etienne or maybe the one that's modelled on the Shamrock jersey behind me there?
No, I would go for, St. Etienne, then Shamrock, and then I would go with the Andy Tom, Germany late 80s, early 90s effort, and then the green one.
The green one, all right. So that looks like something you'd wear at Spike Island in 1990. But anyway, we're giving it away. We're giving it all away. And another point I would make in relation to the big changes, and it seems pretty obvious, but it's a gaffer. And that I think is key. The change in manager, in style, in philosophy, in the mood of the camp, and certain players playing to their full potential, playing to the maximum, has happened as a result of that change. Now, this isn't I'm going to turn this round. It's not a slapping Neil Lennon moment. It's more praising Ange Postecoglou to come into the club that is so lacking in confidence and in some cases desire, Lawrence, to do well, and to be able to turn that around in such a short space of time. Yes, we've lost 2 games out of 4 in the league, but I think most Celtic fans are looking at that old cliched bigger picture at the moment, aren't they? With the changes that Ange has made, the fact he's got 12 players now, some of whom have to get bedded in before January, and then we'll go again in January. So for me, the biggest change is the arrival of Ange Postecoglou. Did it worry you when you look at that league table and we've lost 2 out of 4 games so far, Lawrence, or do you see the bigger picture?
No, I think it's bigger picture. We were so short in numbers. Listen, another thing he's done is seems to be able to push the board more and harder than previous managers have. He's very good in the media and making pointed statements of, kind of, it just comes across really upfront and honest. Say, look, this is going on. We don't have enough. It's not, Peter and Desmond are great to work with, kind of thing, is it? He's pushing them all the way, which is what we want. We want someone that's pushing the best for the team and the squad. It's the Hearts game. I think we're fairly unlucky to lose. The Rangers game, you could see it coming. Although we're the best the first half, we didn't really create enough chances in it. And I think Alkmaar probably taking more out of us than the Rangers European game taking out of them. Obviously no fans at the game. I don't know if the board's made any representation on complaints of that, or if they're quite happy that that's, to pass without comment. and without any action, because it's quite strange when it's in the rules, reasonable amount of tickets, and they have been, 800 sent over, then rescinded almost. It's strange that, that's just been allowed to stand and happen. Because it would appear in the face of it, that would appear to be against the rules of the league. But then again, do the rules apply?
Well, that particular rule, reasonable amount. So obviously the question is, what is a reasonable amount? I'm guessing that bar has already been pushed to the absolute minimum with the 750. I think that's obviously been agreed under those circumstances, that a reasonable amount is 750. So the clubs came to this impasse where it was 750 at Celtic Park and Ibrox, and that's obviously been torn up and thrown out the window, Lawrence. I think there's going to be a key decision to be made by Celtic when the opposite fixture comes to Celtic Park, and we'll discuss that at the time. If I was to ask you, Lawrence, what is the biggest change that Ange has made since he's come in relation to the situation we had with Neil Lennon compared to where we are with Ange? Because obviously he's working with a lot of the same players. He's working with he's working with the entire backroom team that he inherited. What's the key change that you've seen that has given us this momentum, confidence and positivity as Celtic fans this season?
Listen, there's a definite freshness, but I think he's got a clarity of message and vision that he's relaying to the players of what they need to do in the park. You saw it last season. We've got a vice captain going off the park a couple of times and saying we didn't know what we meant to be doing out there.
Frustrated. You seen him walking off in that game you mentioned, the Rangers game at Ibrox, and he's cursing and swearing. You could actually hear him. Frustrated. Yep.
And it's like, whereas when you hear Ange talking, he said, look, I will give the players instructions of what they want to do, and as long as they do what they want to do, I've told them to do, I will back them 100%. Yeah. And it appears to be working. I mean, look at Tony Ralston. We were slagging him, me included, maybe more so than most in the show, but geez, what a month he had, eh?
I've got to say, Lawrence, Amy never slagged him. Amy Canavan always stood up for Tony Ralston. I'm looking for the footage so I can share it. But she always said that, when we brought in John Joe Kenny, why not play Ralston? And, with hindsight, a lot of people would agree with it.
Yeah, it was strange at that time. And even after kind of Lenny went, you were going, well, why is he not playing now? With 10 games to go, it's effectively 10 games to find out what you've got in the squad and who's going to be here long term. Precisely.
Yeah.
Especially after Kenny, I think it was one of the poorer performers at Ibrox. You're thinking, yeah, I think you're burning your bridges. It's obvious we're not spending big money on you. Yeah, it would have been better to have a look through the squad. Because, one of the stats boys on Twitter, he looked into it, and this is Ralston's biggest run of games. So maybe that's all he needed, run of games to settle into the team, and a manager that's given him clear instruction on what to do.
I think so. Yeah, I mean, with regards to the fact that Tony Ralston obviously has come in and played so well, we spoke yesterday about his, non-call up into the Scotland squad, even though we needed a right back, and it's been confirmed that it was on medical grounds. So hopefully he will be fit and well for our fixture at the weekend, and we'll be talking about predicted lineups. I want to run through some of the comments coming in. First and foremost, Lyle Fraser, hello from Sydney, Australia. Did you just start watching the show when Ange came in, Lyle, or are you been a long-time viewer of ACSOM? Would love to know. Welcome from Sydney and Australia. Hope you're enjoying it. Also, we have got another good evening from Thailand. David McMillan, never been to Thailand, always fancied it. Welcome to the show, and I hope you're enjoying it as well. And Mikko Vitinen is watching in Finland. Lawrence, always blows me away when we see all over the world Celtic fans tuning into a Celtic state of mind. We've also got a good luck message from Paddy Livery. And by the way, yeah, absolutely. We're up for 3 awards. Forgive me for mentioning it on just about every show. It would be great if you could vote for us. And, we're up for Best Content Creator for Celtic. We're up for Best International Podcast, which I think is like the Champions League, Lawrence, because we're up against AC Milan and Barcelona. And then the Best Charitable Campaign for the Quadruple Treble Weekender when we raised 27k in December last year. So thank you very much for that. Please help us to win 1, 2, or a treble of awards down in London, and we'll bring them back up next month. And Gaz just comes in to say Julien's pants. Now, I don't know if he's referring to the ownership of his pants or if he is pants as a footballer. I don't think he is. I really don't. We all know there were occasions where certain people seemed to get the better of him and spooked him. For example, Lyndon Dykes, it was always that one where he didn't like to play against Lyndon Dykes. I think overall, though, and it's not one of these ones, Lawrence, that he has become a better player in his absence. I really do think he's going to be absolutely key. I think he's very influential as well at the back. I really do. And he's scored important goals for Celtic, both in Europe and against Rangers in the cup final. His arrival, his return, I think is going to be massive. And I disagree. I don't think he is pants. I think he's our first choice centre half.
Yeah, I'd agree. He's definitely first choice centre. If he gets back to the level, we don't know, how bad an injury it's been. And obviously, as you said, he was coming off the back of one previously. If he gets back to his best, he's definitely our best centre half. It brings more competition to his position, doesn't it? But yeah, he's got goals in him. He's influential. He's one of the more experienced players in the defence, because we've got a very young defence now, haven't we?
Yes.
The Croatian boy.
You forget how young Ralston is because he's been around for so long.
So what's he, 21, 22?
Ralston's 22. I'm just going to double check that because he might have just turned 23, but he's certainly 22.
Taylor 23, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Croatian boy 24 or something. Scales is 23. So Cameron Vickers has got to be about 23 mark, isn't he? He is really, really very young. Obviously, Joe Hart pushes that average age up a bit, but
yeah, Tony Ralston's still 22. He turns 23 in November, but he's been in and around the first team for 5 seasons. He made his debut under Ronnie Dyler, so you sometimes think he's that wee bit older, but he's still a young player. And as you say, the longest run in the Celtic side. So, if we're talking about one of the key changes being Ange, and as obvious as it sounds, it's not just the fact that he's come in, it's the changes that he's made. I'm also going to be very, very interested between now and January, Lawrence, to see if he does make that big push to the board that you mentioned earlier and bringing in additional staff. And I don't mean staff to replace what's already there, because he seems to be quite happy with the coaching staff at the moment. But he did allude to the fact that he needed more in terms of the sports science, the data analysis side of the game, and he wants to bring these guys in. I think that's also going to be key.
No, definitely. He's identified sports science. He also said, obviously, that wonder there, the kind of director of football, wasn't a priority. So he's obviously got a game plan of attack, and well, you'd imagine sports science, as he's identified that, is going to be top of that. How we can use data to get the best out of our players and to better the opposition is key to the modern game, isn't it? I think Brendan done it to great effect. And is obviously used to working that way. So hopefully they give him what he's asking for. It's, I don't know what size of team would be involved with sports science, but it's right down to nutritionists, video analysts, data analysts, right through. How many he's looking to bring in. If he's got a team, whether from Australia that he knows and trusts, that he can just lift hold of, or some people that he's worked with in Japan, or even anytime throughout his career.
I think it's key. It's key because it's margins. It's fine margins, Lawrence. And if it gives you an advantage in that area, then we really need to invest in it. A couple of great points coming through. Terence Pratt is fed up with the international break. Can't wait until Ange Ball returns on Saturday. I hope it is another round of Ange Ball. I'd love to see it. DMS Duffy with the cult legend that is Anton Rogan on his avatar. Nice taps. I agree. Very nice taps. And we will be giving them all away. Just get subscribing on YouTube if you haven't done so already. And if you have, you're already in the draw. And Peter comes in. Coloyero. I hope that's how you pronounce your surname, Peter. If a few Aussies leave the broadcast early, it's no slight on ACSOM. It's because we will be switching to watch Australia play Vietnam in a World Cup qualifier. So all the best to Australia as they come up against Vietnam, even though we also have fans in Vietnam who tune into the show, Lawrence, because we were number 1 in the Vietnamese charts at one point last season, which is utterly bizarre. Red Scotland would like to ask Jota, what's with the hairdo? Well, as I said earlier on in the show, we are going to be interviewing the man with that incredible installation of hair in Yota at 2:30 this afternoon. If there's anything else, as well as the hairdo question that you would like us to ask, then let us know, because I will be more than happy to ask the question to our new left winger. Right, next point, the third point in terms of the changes, Lawrence, and I think, again, this is massive, is that I think all the unhappy stars, all the want-away stars have gone. And I think that's absolutely vital if we want to keep the camp happy and we want to push on for the league title. How big a part was that in our downfall last season? How important is it this season that they're all away?
Look, listen, I think that was huge. Obviously, those guys were unhappy because they believed promises had been broken to them. They wanted away. You know, that was our pitch to players. You know, come in, you do well, we get a decent offer and we'll sell you. So we went from, was it 14 million euros from Porto for Ncham to freeing him? You know, and he didn't contribute anything last season.
In fact, you know, freeing him, so it cost us money.
Yeah.
What do you normally get, 6 months of your contract?
Yeah, there's kind of arrangement to pay up part of it. You know, 6 months would have been, yeah, it could have been. So you could argue we get reduced fees on Christie and Eddie, vastly reduced if we'd sold them last year. You know, I think we've got a decent. I think probably what we'd have got the season before. We changed a transfer policy last year. The only incoming player that you could say maybe what was Turnbull, but he was identified from the previous window. We only joined late because he was out for a year with injury, or almost a year. So, yeah, keeping on happy players definitely didn't. It didn't work. You can see the reasons why the board changed it. You said, "Oh, you know, if we sell Eddie, there'll be a riot." But you know, no players bigger in the club. Maybe we should have said, "Well, look, we've done something that's worked for 9 years. Mm-hmm. Why are we changing it now?" You know, what's the risks here? If a player goes off form or just decides he doesn't fancy it anymore, like some of the players certainly just seem to not fancy it, and then you know, some of them, if they create unrest in the camp, you know, make other players unhappy. It just it didn't work at all. So I think getting them out and bring the players back together as one team is going to be massive for us.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. Some brilliant points coming in. Terence Pat again. Ange has given the supporters back the football club after the shambles last season. I feel like that. I really do. And Sean F raises a very important point. Disappointed that Don Mackay hasn't even addressed our supporters in regards to the Rangers ticket issue. I think it is something the club definitely needs to address. And also Jungle Lion makes the point that since they cut the allocation, their results have improved. So Celtic should now do the same. What's your thoughts on that? When the time comes, how should we deal with that, Lawrence?
I think we've got to play by the rules, mate. You know, if the rules are, they've got to get a reasonable amount of tickets. Because what happens if we don't, and then there's a complaint against us, and say, well, you're breaking the rules, they haven't given us tickets. You know, I don't think your defence is, well, they also broke the rules. I don't think that's much your defence. You know, we're signed up to a reasonable amount. I think it should be dealt with now. I think there should be comments and representations made to them and say, look, these were the rules. We feel they've been broken. You know, what do we do about this? Because if there's rules without any consequences, well, why would anyone stick to them?
Well, exactly. You know, and I think also there is that question of, you know, lowering yourself down to the standards of others as well, and, you know, playing by the rules and keeping your own, maintaining your own standards, Lawrence. There is the question of that as well. Now, taking it away from the list of key issues that will win us back the league, I'm going to go to this, and I know that this is your third appearance today, Terence Pat. No favouritism. I just think it's a good question. Would you start Giacomakis on Saturday? Let's have a look at Saturday's lineup, Lawrence. I'm going to tell you how I would play the game, and this is obviously all depending on whether or not players like Tony Ralston is fit, because they reckon that he wasn't called up as a replacement for Nathan Patterson for tonight's game against Austria due to medical reasons. We don't know much more about that. Hello to Kevin Mack from Western Australia. Thanks for tuning in, Kevin Mack. I would start with Joe Hart in goals, of course. If fit, I would still have Ralston at right back, and I would still play Juranovic at left back, right? I think that at home against Ross County, he can do it. He's a Croatian internationalist who didn't look out of place. I'm not saying that he looked like a natural left back against Rangers, but he certainly was able to get through that game without too many issues. Starfelt at the back, and I have a suspicion that Stephen Welsh is going to drop out for Carter Vickers. I think that's what's going to happen. I think that, we've brought in quite a few centre-halves, as I've said before. Some of them may not be first picks. I don't think Uragidi's at the level yet, Lawrence, to be considered a first pick. But I think Carter Vickers is coming in to play football and as a first teamer. I think he's the first new signing who is going to be on the team sheet. Moving into the midfield, I would expect, hopefully, there are no injuries tonight in the international game, that McGregor and Turnbull would be playing with Rogic in front of them as a number 10. I think Abada will start on the right. The best thing often to do, I believe, if someone's had a poor game, as he did against Rangers, is to play him again and let him get it out of his system, Lawrence, rather than, warm the bench for a few weeks. I don't know where Forrest is with his fitness. I know that he's missed a few squads recently. So Abada on the right. I would bring in Jota on the left. Obviously, Ryan Christie's gone. He's left the club. I would put him right in there and start him on the left with Kyogo right through the middle. So in answer to the original question, I wouldn't start with Giacomakis, but I would start with the new boys, Carter Vickers and Jota. Unfair on Stephen Welsh, do you think, Lawrence?
Yeah, I think he's a better start to the season than Starfelt. So if I was going to drop one, I'd probably keep Welsh over Starfelt. I'd agree with you keeping Ralston in there. At left back, it's probably how far away is Taylor? What's Scales like? Even Montgomery against Ross County might be considered a left back before Juranovic. I just think if I've got an idea that Ange develops the players, where do you do that? Do you do it at home against teams that are less likely to cause you problems? No. When's the best time to bleed them in? At some point, you're going to need to have... Well, I think a big part of the game was we missed Taylor. That at Ibrox were a bit unbalanced. As good as Juranovic looked, maybe that's why our left wingers didn't look as good, because he was having to come inside a lot more and play the ball off his right, rather than just up the line with the left. It was a harder pass for him. Mm-hmm. So, depending, I honestly haven't seen much of Scales, a wee bit of highlights on YouTube. I'd probably go with Montgomery there at left back. Midfield, yep. McGregor and Rogic. I think Turnbull's in danger of playing his way out of team again. I think he was poor at Ibrox. So depending how close McCarthy is, I might look to get McCarthy in for this one and see how he does. On the right, yep, Abada, Jota on the left, and Kyogo up front. Yeah.
It's an interesting one with Turnbull because prior to his period of brilliant performances there, he was under a wee bit of criticism, and then I agree he didn't have a great game against Rangers, so it will be interesting to see if we stick by him. I've got a few people asking how to vote, so I'm going to put the actual link into the comment section in just a moment, but it is footballcontentawards.com/voting. And once you get onto that page, we're up for 3 different awards. We are the best podcast, but it's the international section, so we're in the Champions League. I'm going to say that anyway. Best club content creator, again, international. Go in there and vote for a Celtic state of mind. And finally, I've just noticed I've not voted yet. Maybe I'll throw a vote in myself. Best charitable campaign. And again, it appears as Charity Weekender ACSOM. So we're up for 3 awards. It would be tremendous to win a treble. Either way, we're going to go down and enjoy it and represent a Celtic State of Mind's community, which has been building up now for over 4 years. Now, I'm not sure if all you guys are from your destinations, but I'm going to read them out anyway because Denzel's telling us that he's from Miami. Hopefully you're doing well there. Lebobski is asking the question, is anybody actually from Glasgow? Well, I'm sure a few of you are. Odd Bob, what's the weather like in Kazakhstan? And we've got various other people coming in. So hopefully that is where you are and everybody's doing well. And I'm just about to post that link. And I am going to ask you to get in there and vote for us because you know what? It would be tremendous for us to get an award. After everything that's been happening recently, it would be absolutely brilliant. So that's where you vote. Should maybe just keep that up there. I should actually put it underneath the videos as a clickable link. I think that's what I'll do after today, Lawrence. Now, moving on, I'm going to have to bring this up again because this has been a point of discussion on just about every day on the bulletin. Powerman 1988. Scales must play left back, waking up people. I've heard a lot of people who have had first-hand experience of Liam Scales, Lawrence, saying that we're actually underrating him. He will be a first-time team player for Celtic. And a lot of the people who have seen him playing reckon that he's at his strongest at left back. Is he the dark horse? I said earlier on, maybe James McCarthy is. Do you think Liam Scales could be that man?
Yeah, he definitely could. It's an area we're short in. Proved that, with Taylor's injury. If Scales plays, it gives a bit more height to the defence as well, doesn't it? Both. I think when we need to switch to a back three during the game, maybe Scales suits that better. But to be honest, for me, just because I don't know or haven't seen a lot about him, I've heard a lot of people saying, oh, he's great, he'll make it. I'm kind of going, well, he's 23 coming for League of Ireland. He's not like 18, 19, 20-year-old wonder kid. It's not someone that I don't think we had to fight off a lot of clubs to get him. So for me, that's why I was saying Montgomery in there. I think he's looked good when he's played for us, Montgomery. So
he has, yeah.
I'm in at left back and developing him.
Point number 4 on my list of 6 key changes that could bring the title back to Celtic is the fact that we're back. We're actually back in the ground. Some people have pointed out that even when we're playing at home, I'm still sitting here in the studio. Yes, I am. Don't have my season ticket kicking about, but we have unused season tickets in the studio. Unfortunately, I've not found a way to cover the games and be at the games, Lawrence. So I'm hoping to find a way to do that. I've asked the club if they can give us a wee space at the stadium. That would be good, so we can do the broadcast, go to our seats, etc. But yes, I am a season ticket holder. I've just not been able to get to the games because I want to do the broadcast, Lawrence. But yeah, I'm looking forward to getting back. I think it's been a massive loss last season. And it's huge when you consider, Lawrence, that players like Ayeti until recently had never played, in front of a full house at Celtic Park.
Yeah, absolutely bizarre. I mean, you hear everyone talking about it. Former players, former opposition players, just describing the atmosphere, how great it is to play in. The former players are always saying it drives us on. It definitely provides that connection, doesn't it, between the fans and the players. So, were we affected by it more than most? I would say, well, probably yes. That if we believe it's the best atmosphere and drives us on, the most informal players say that. Well, it's that taking that away from us. I think it definitely there was a bit of disconnect between the fans and the club. Not being able to go there, get the cathartic experience of being there. Fans were obviously frustrated, not feeling that you can influence the game. So I think it's been great for us to have it back. And the new players coming in, it's what it's all about, isn't it? Playing in front of the fans. Was it
massive?
If you don't want to come and play in front of 60,000 people, win trophies, play at the highest level in Europe, and earn legendary status, you think you can get it elsewhere?
Should you be in the game? I know.
If that's Crystal Palace or Bournemouth or whatever, on you go.
Yeah, and a few of them have gone. Jungle Lion makes a good point. Welcome back to the show. You're commenting on Periscope via Twitter. You don't get the number 5 jersey for no reason. Absolutely brilliant point. I mean, if you're going to be handed a number 5 jersey and, you think of the players who have worn it in the past, and in particular, Billy McNeil himself, then there's a signal that this is a first-team player and he's going to be battling for a first-team jersey. I'm really looking forward to seeing him playing, Lawrence, because I think initially I spoke about him being in the same kind of boat as Urhoghide and Liam Shaw. I was quickly corrected by our friends in Ireland who was saying, no, this kid's really, really got something. He's on a different level. So I'm looking forward to seeing him play.
There's something weird about his transfer, though, that it dragged out for so long, though. If he's going to, why didn't we get it done quicker if he was going to be that? Because he could have got injured in those 2 European games for Shamrock. If he's an important plan to us going forward, first team, it wasn't a huge buy. Surely we could have put, another 50, 60 grand on the table and just made it happen quicker, got him integrated quicker. Might have helped us when Taylor was out, if he is going to be man. It just seems it was a wee bit wasn't a great amount of urgency just to push that deal over the line and get him in, as you'd have thought if he's going to be like the first team guy that we're going to be relying on. But maybe that's just Celtic's way of doing transfers. Maybe there's a bit of a hangover. They always seem to be a bit protracted.
That's me voted for ACSOM. Brilliant. Keep the votes coming in. Get onto that page. Just as a wee reminder, it's footballcontentawards.com/voting. You look at the fact that we've got about 1,000 people tuning in just now. If even a fraction of you were to go in and vote, that would really push us towards winning 1 or 2 or even 3 of the awards that we're up for. We are up for Best International Podcast. We're up for the Best International Content Creator for Celtic and Best Charitable Campaign. So get in there. Get voting for us. We'll be bringing the awards back up the road and into our studio here in Dalkeith, which you are free to visit. Come along, visit us. Look at this. Big Bobo voted. I wonder if it's the real Big Bobo. Danny Kelly Music, welcome to the show, Danny. Danny's been in the studio a few times, Lawrence. And he is also good guy. And Bernard, just going to vote, guys. Thank you very much. And by the way, do not call them Shamrock. It's Shamrock Rovers or Rovers. Don't call them Shamrock. McGrory has also voted. I love this. I'm going to mention this even more often. Donny Boy, Kevin Graham and myself will be working on making Screamer Celica a fully produced show, rather than the fact that quite a lot of the shows actually were live broadcasts like what we're doing just now on the channel. But in doing that, we've looked at the potential of that show, and we're going to have it as a fully produced, fully edited show. Hopefully get some special guests in as well who might be relative to the music or the football. So yeah, we're going to be working on that. It will probably be a once a month show rather than a live stream on a Tuesday night. But yeah, we are working on that. So it won't be on tonight, Donny Boy 67, but we will not lose Screamer Celica from the channel. We're just going to make it a wee bit bigger and better. Liam Young voted ACSOM for the awards. Best of luck. Absolutely tremendous, Liam. Thank you so much to everybody. We've had a lot of support. A lot of support from our audience, from our viewers. Feed the Bear, I'm just going to post that link again. There it is. So that link right there is where you need to go to make the voting count. Thank you very much for voting, every single one of you. Thank you so much for that. Keeping it live and weekly is best. You have ruined it, you wig. Denzel, it's a myth. Lawrence will tell you it's not a wig. It's real. It's the real deal, man. Yes, Screamer Celica will be filmed and it will be hosted on the channel, but it will be a monthly show. January window, I think, is the 5th big key reason, Lawrence, because you look at the last January transfer window and it was a bit of a non-event. This time round, we've already been told by Ange that, again, maybe putting a wee bit of pressure on the board, because once it's out there, the fans expect he will be dipping into the J-League. He'll be dipping into that transfer market again in January. I think that's going to be key this season, because if we are still in a title race, and I think we will be, it could be key to go in and get 3 or 4 new bodies in it, and we've got the money there to do it. I think it's key.
Yeah. Listen, the J-League, they'll just have finished the season. So maybe that's why Kyogo's had such a big impact, because he's part of the way through a season. His match fitness is right up there. So if there's players as good as Kyogo, in different positions there that we can bring on, brilliant. But it's just, we're asking him to play a long season then, aren't we, without a break? So, yeah, he's put the pressure on. We're expecting to see more come from the J-League. I suppose where we'll be looking to fill is going to depend on how the players were, because we've brought in a lot just now. How they settle, how we do for injuries. But I don't think it will limit itself to only the J-League. But it'd be great to see if there was another Kyogo or 2 there, wouldn't it? Just that energy he brings to the team.
Listen, if he's got a couple of guys up his sleeve that can do the job and make the impact of Kyogo, then we are in for some rip-roaring, free-scoring, never-boring football from Glasgow Celtic. Thanks, everybody, for voting. That's amazing. I should have maybe done it like this before for the last couple of weeks, but, you've started me now, and I will be hosting most of the shows in the next few weeks. Scott 88 asks, what was the pod sections to vote on? So before we go to the final point, I will remind you, the very last section is Best Charitable Campaign, and we come under Charity Weekender ACSOM. If you also go to Best Club Content Creator, under the International section, you will find a Celtic State of Mind. And Best Podcast, under the International section, you will find a Celtic State of Mind. And that's an interesting one because you're up against Open Goal, Spanish Football Podcast, AC Milan, MLS Show, Barca. That's the Champions League and beyond. So yeah, get voting. Let's go out down to London and gate crash the party and win a couple of trophies and bring them up the road, and I can maybe display them behind us instead of the concept jerseys. The final point I was going to make in relation to the big differences, the big changes that we're making this season or have made this season, Lawrence, we've finally got a number one. I think that is massive this season. I mean, last season, we've gone from Barkas to Bain to Hazard. Interestingly enough, Hazard is not in the Europa League squad. So I don't know if we'll be looking to maybe loan him out. But Joe Hart has come in, number one. Yeah, he's had a couple of mistakes. But I tell you what, he's made a few saves as well.
Yeah, but listen, he's vastly experienced. Was it 5 or 6 Golden Gloves in the EPL? Numerous caps for England. You know, he's definitely a level above the rest of the keepers up there. Quite a few levels, I would say. His experience is going to help out what is a really young defence in front of him just now, you know, until I think Julian brings a bit of age and the Croatian right back as well. But I think it's been outstanding for us. You can see him talking through the game as well, giving instructions.
Yeah.
So he's not played for a long time, so he's made a couple of mistakes, but he needs to get back to his level, and he'll only do that by playing games. So I think as good as he's looked, I think he's still got a lot more in his locker that we've not yet seen. I think he's a lot can improve. Hazard, it makes sense to put him out on loan, doesn't it, if we're not going to use him. It's one of those ones. Are Bain and Barkas any better than him? From what we've seen of them last season, are they any better than Hazard? You know,
I know.
How was it decided that it wasn't them that was going out? But maybe we do see him, get him out on loan, get him some more experience, because he played again for the North of Ireland there. Get another cap for them.
You did, aye. Half an hour. Yep.
So maybe they do have a development plan in place for him now. But listen, he's the goalkeeper that made it happen, isn't he? That set it up for big Chris Ayer to steal the glory and
yes.
So he's always going to have his place in Celtic history through that corner, whether it's we've got a long-term plan for him or this is a sign that he's moving out the door. He definitely.
I think there must be. There must be a plan, because he got, I think it was a 4-year deal after that game that I enjoyed with yourself, Lawrence. So there must be a plan. By the way, I'm blown away by the amount of people coming in confirming that they voted. Thank you, each and every single one of you. And for all the talk about the wig, I mean, seriously, if I was going to get one, would I not get something a wee bit better than that? You know, that's always what I'm going to say there. Lawrence Connolly, as always, thank you so much for joining me on A Celtic State of Mind. Everybody who's joined us on Twitch, LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, keep joining us on A Celtic State of Mind, because we will keep producing the content on a daily basis. We've just uploaded our first video, actually, from the festival we were at on Friday. There was a festival in Dalkeith, and we were the official media partners of that festival. So we filmed the whole day. We were in about the crowd, we were backstage, we were interviewing the acts, and we also filmed them on the stage. So the first video of a number of videos that's going to be put on the YouTube channel was uploaded this morning. Check it out, it's Las Vegas. Still to come are bands such as the Sherlocks, Kel Faulkner, Johnny Skinner, who was absolutely tremendous, and others. So Sophie DeRose was also on the bill. So get involved. It's not just the football. You can get in there and get a wee bit of music as well, Lawrence. Yep,
but I think Boyce, who was saying he interviewed The View, who are Celtic fans, is that correct?
Yeah, it was Kel Faulkner.
Yep, that's it, mate.
Drew, watch this space. Watch this space. He was brilliant, by the way. He was absolutely tremendous. But what we need to do, Lawrence, is we've never really done it before. In fact, we definitely haven't done anything like it. Get the wee ACSOM badges, wee pin badges, and we can give them out to people when we meet them, when we're doing these festivals. Because James Allen's a big Celtic man as well.
Was that the boy from Las Vegas, the singer?
Yeah, lead singer.
Boys, I don't know how I established this with Boys in Saturday night, but he did say, yeah, Las Vegas, the singer's a Celtic fan.
Aye, Rab and Paul are Rangers fans, but James is a Celtic man. Brilliant. It was excellent on Friday. Check it out on the channel. Thanks everybody for getting involved. Thank you for your ongoing support. We need it more than ever over the next couple of weeks. So thank you very much for getting behind ACSOM and being part of our community. And we will be back tomorrow at 12:30. Thanks for tuning in to A Celtic State of Mind.